Rockstars Uncensored with Laura Hargrove. Again, I do have Mr. Acey Lust from Rebel Lust calling all the way in live from England. How are you doing? Yes, I'm so glad that we got everything ironed out and you can be on the show today. I want to thank you. Now,
Oh, no worries, no worries. It's a pleasure to be here.
now you've had some band lineup changes, over, the few years you guys have been together. Now, I know that your brother Ricky Sticks was in the band. Are you allowed to speak about the departure, and has it caused any personal or professional conflicts?
Oh no, of course no. I'm quite happy to talk about that. I mean, he had his way. Pretty much, we struggled getting off the ground for a little while. Like I said, we've always had a few problems with drummers and trying to get one that's stuck. I mean, we're from a small town out here in England, sort of the Forest of Dean area. It's a collection of small villages that sort of makes up its own sort of sub-county.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to find people out here that were, into the rock and roll stuff and into the, the 70s and 80s stuff, trying to find a drummer like that was on the same wavelength as me and the guitarist was always really difficult. And my brother, he'd been playing drums for about 2 years, and I think at the time he was just a bit bored and, wanted something to do, and, thought it would be a great experience to actually get out and play, not just sort of in the rehearsals, but, up and down the country and stuff. So,
right.
He agreed to play. Yeah, Ricky, he agreed to play with us for a little while, and he ended up staying for just shy of 2 years. But he didn't share our musical, our musical tastes. He always liked the pop punk, Blink-182 and bands like that. That was always more his preference.
Right.
So, as he got older and, he started to find his own musical path, he decided then that, it was time for him to go his way and sort of push forward with his own projects, and for us to push out, to branch out and find somebody that could take us sort of to the next step. I mean, he still plays today. He's constantly on tour with his band, and all the best to him. We still keep good contact with him there. There was no hard feelings for a little while there while he was in the band for the last couple of months. There was a bit of sibling rivalry, but it was all in good sport, really.
Now, did you and your brother actually form Rebel Lust, or was it your project and he was just kind of added into the mix?
No, pretty much. He was added into the mix sort of later on, and it was I came up with the name and I formed the band, but the guitarist we played with, AJ Lust, I've been playing with him now for near on 10 years, and before we were Rebel Lust, we were a band. We were more of a covers band of the 80s material, really. We were called Sunset Strip. But, we had a different bass player, then. I was a guitar player, AJ was a guitar player. We had a different bass player and a different singer, a different drummer, and, we did a lot of drinking back then, and, a lot of drugs, and, nothing was ever taken seriously, and, the audiences, they would see that night after night, and the name started to become a bit of a joke, so I sat down one night and thought, there's a revamp needs to be made. I want to do this seriously.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it was trying to strike back hard with a new name and, to write some new songs and start playing original material, really. And
now, I'm sorry, go ahead. Don't mean to interrupt.
No, carry on.
I was just going to ask you, like when you change bands, kind of change some members, do you change your style of music as well, or do you kind of keep within tight genres of the first one?
I mean, these days it stays as it was. So from everything from 2010 up until 2015, the sound hasn't changed. I mean, we continue to write new songs. We haven't released anything new recently. Obviously, we reformed in May, and it was decided then between me and the guitarist before the new drummer was found it was decided then that we were going to carry on with the last EP stuff and sort of follow that forward and push the single House Pay. I mean, Heart of Stone was our 2010 single, so we never really, we never pushed that as well as we could have. So we decided to put that on the EP, and then sort of after it was all recorded and done, we were going to push out a lot of music videos and everything for it, but we ended up coming to a kink in the road, really. We came to a bit of a crossroads where we could have either carried on with I could have carried on with a new guitarist and a new drummer, or I could have folded and spent the personal time. And, in the end, I chose the personal time, thinking it would only be a year.
Yeah.
But the sound from 2010 to 2015 it's stayed the same.
Now, I noticed, at least the two current, yourself included, and AJ. Now, is having the last name Lust kind of encouraged as a stage name within Rebel Lust?
Yeah, it all came about. Yeah, it all came about through that. We originally wanted to keep the personal identities, to ourselves and just be known under those names. And throughout all the members, we had up until 2012. With my brother as an exception, really. Every member always picked a stage name, and the last name was either Lust or it was Rebel. And pretty much every member that ever picked Rebel as their last name were the members that ended up leaving on bad terms, or with the members that were, we had a lot of disagreements with those members, and they never survived. But everybody who took on the name Lust ended up leaving the band on good terms, or like AJ has always stayed by.
Isn't that weird? It's almost like if you don't have lust, you're not going to make it, and you're not going to leave on good terms either, right?
I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to the hard work, really, and the personality of the person.
Right.
Either you're too much of a rebel, or you just don't have enough lust for the life, I guess. You either want one or the other, and it's the personalities of the people that have always picked Rebel as their stage name. They've always been the really outrageous types that don't really want to put in a great deal of work, but at the same time they want to cash in on the whole rock star persona and all the sex and the drugs. But they just don't. They're not willing to put in the hard work.
I would rather put in hard work and have less alcohol, drugs, and sex. Right?
Over the years, we've had so much enjoyment out of doing it all. I mean, myself, I always found a really good balance between all three, through the sex, the drugs, and the rock and roll. And it never really caused me it caused me issues in my personal life, but for the musical life, I've always, I guess maybe I was, just because I was the driving force of it all, I kept it all going and was able to sort of maneuver everything and cater everything around, what I needed to do back then. But as for all the parties and all the drugs and everything, the lusts have always been able to keep going. But at the same time, we've had more of the musical drive, which was the more important thing of it all. Without the rock and roll, you're just another person drinking and taking drugs. You're not going to get anywhere unless you really want to work at it.
Now, I would assume that being you're the driving force, that you actually named the band, and is there a story behind it?
Yeah, I named the band in 2006. I thought the name in 2006, and I always wanted to do something with it. Like I said, back in 2006, we were still operating under the Sunset Strip name, but with the drink and the drugs and the party style as it was back then before we were taking things really seriously.
Mm-hmm.
It was Rebel Lust was always something that I wanted to pursue, but wasn't ready to at that time. I was enjoying the good times. Yeah, I wanted to take things more seriously, but at the same time, I was still young at that time, and yeah, I just wanted to enjoy myself and maybe enjoy the South a bit too much, and wasn't thinking as much to the musical side of it back then.
Right.
So, when it came around to 2007, which is when I seriously started putting thought, I had the name, I decided, on my own sort of stage name and where I wanted the band to go. I used to sit there with, pads of paper. I used to design sort of logos and, to pretty much design, the whole future. I'd sit there and write songs and decide, right, this, I want to use this as a single. This was before I had any other members. And I thought, I want to use this as a single, I want to do this and this and this. I wanted to achieve this by 2008. I wanted to achieve this by 2009. And it was, it pretty much sort of came about by that. But in 2007, I had a brief lineup with some of the guys from Sunset Strip and a few new members, but it was too much like it was before under the new name. So, I upped and sold everything I had here in England. And I'm in 2008, in sort of early 2008, I moved out to Sweden, where all the new wave glam rock stuff was coming across.
Yeah.
And, I thought I'm going to try my chances out there. So, I up and left and traveled around Sweden. It was amazing times, but even there, I couldn't find it. I mean, I went around all the major cities, Gothenburg and Stockholm, Malmo and Lund, and everybody kept telling me out there, you got to check you got to go to the small towns, you got to go to the villages. So, I'd go to these places and I'd find a guitarist in one town,
Mm-hmm.
and then sort of 200 miles down the road, I'd find a drummer, and, another 50 miles in a different direction, I'd find a bass player, and it was obvious, really, that it just wasn't working. So when I came home and AJ was pretty much there waiting for me on my doorstep, we decided then and there that, right, this is what we're going to do. All we need is a drummer. So we spent the whole summer looking for a drummer and writing new songs and just progressing, really.
Now, excuse me. Now, in previous times, you were totally stumbling over my words. I'm sorry. You were not the bass player, even though you play bass, but you weren't the main bass player like you are now.
No, I mean, I've taken many roles over the years. I mean, I'll stick with Rebel Lust mainly, but yeah, I've been a guitarist for Rebel Lust. I've been just a singer for Rebel Lust, and I've been just a bass. Well, I've been each individually. I've been just a bass player. I've been just a singer. I've been just a guitarist, and I've been a bass player and singer. I've been a guitarist and singer. I've always filled the roles of whatever we could or couldn't find.
So, what is your favorite instrument to actually play? Do you have a preference between instruments? I've played several instruments, but I still prefer the bass.
Oh, the bass guitar is my personal preference. Is the bass guitar. I think that's always been my real. That's always been one of my strengths. Was the bass.
Yeah,
I've got quite a unique rhythm take that I use. I don't use a plectrum. I finger pick everything, but everything's got a certain bounce about it. And sort of, AJ, he told me what he's listening right now, but he'd much rather say this himself. But he always says that any other bass player wouldn't work for us now, because there's just something about what you do is the bouncy rhythms all the time. And unless I was to sit down and face to face and teach somebody for a few months my style, you wouldn't get it on your own.
It just wouldn't make the music sound right.
What's that, sorry?
It's like it just doesn't make the sound of the music sound right. Doesn't come across
Exactly.
the same way. Now,
Exactly, yeah.
you use a BC Rich Warlock Widow, right?
Oh no, it's the Beast I use. The Platinum Pro series. I got 2 of the BC Rich Beasts. And those have been my preference. I've been playing those since 2004. And I'd never use anything else.
So, have you ever spent any time on the Warlocks?
Oh, I mean the guitar version. When I play the 6
No, the
string.
bass version.
Oh, the bass version. Yeah, I've tried them, but I find the body, too small. For
Too
my
small?
I like the I like the spacing of the strings. But after you've played the Beast, I mean I play obviously really low down. Anybody that's seen any pictures or videos, my bass is always right down by my knees, but the weight of the body, pulls the neck up, and that for me, when I'm using the Warlock, playing that low down, it's not the same balance. It throws the balance off. So
Yeah, they sit different.
Pulling it up by the neck.
Yeah, they sit different. Plus, they're pretty stouty. I play a Warlock bass Widow, so that's
right.
yeah. And then I have a BC Rich Mockingbird Dragon's Blood and an Ibanez SDGR.
Ah, the Ibanez. Our guitarist, up until 2012, his main guitar was the BC Rich. We almost got endorsed by BC Rich. A lot of the contracts were going through for the endorsements when the band folded. So unfortunately, we didn't get that. They've changed all their policies now. But at the time, we almost got the endorsements through them. But the main guitar he used to use was the Warlock, and he had the Bitch as well.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of Warlocks. Always.
But he's now switched to Ibanez, and that's pretty much all he'll use now is Ibanez.
Well, the thing
I
about
keep on to him to try and get back to the BC Rich, but
he
says things have changed too much.
it's such a change in music, and plus the Ibanez, which I would imagine his is too. It's like it's the battery operated. The pickups are way different. It just has more of a smoother sound. No, if you want to get out there and pound on something.
He doesn't use the active pickups, so he doesn't use the battery pickups.
Oh.
I'm not quite sure what it is that he finds so brilliant about the Ibanez. Yes, I mean they're good guitars. They're not for me. I mean, either 6-string or bass. All I use is BC Rich.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a couple. I've got three of the Warlock 6 strings. I've got one of the Mockingbirds, and obviously I've got the Beasts. But that's all I've used. That's all I will use. I've tried other guitars over the years. I've tried a few Les Pauls, and they were quite comfortable. But I always found myself going back to BC Rich.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I don't know. Maybe if it's just the color and the setup of my Mockingbird, but I've never seen one so pretty the way mine is. And I seen it and I laughed and I was like, no. I went back the next day and made a deal with them and got the case and the whole 9 yards. And that's when it's the medium, because like my Ibanez is really light, the Mockingbird's medium, and then the Warlock's a tank. And I'm only 5'3", so the guitar is almost as tall as I am, especially in the case.
Yeah.
But I think it depends on what type of sound I want to come across. Are you a pick player or are you a finger slap bass? How do you?
No, I've always finger picked. I use a mixture of finger pick to a sort of slap bass style.
Right. See,
I'd say slap is more beat, really.
It's got more funk.
If I can't get the sound I want by picking at it with my fingers, then I'll pretty much attack it with my fists.
Now, just backtracking just a little bit. Now, how old were you when you realized that music was going to play, substantial part of in your life? I mean, was there like a young age, or how did that all kind of come about for you to go above and beyond and make something out of music?
Well, I guess what inspired me to play an instrument most, I mean, the age I was when I first decided that I wanted to play an instrument. I mean, I was 12 years old, and I was in what you guys would call high school over in the States.
Junior high. Junior high.
Junior high, eh?
Yeah, like 7th and 8th grade is junior high.
You know, it'd be secondary school for us. It was our last school. But I was 12 years old, and there was a guy in my classes, and I mean, I used to take the music class with him, and he was into all the old sort of Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and stuff like that, and he just had a natural gift for playing the guitar. Most of it came apparent later on that most instruments he picked up, he was the sort of guy that could just pick something up, and within a few hours, he'd all but mastered it. He'd pretty much mastered it. And I sat there watching him the one day, playing along to an Iron Maiden. I think it was the Number of the Beast. I think he was playing. I think he just went into I was watching him do all the chords and everything like that, and then he just went into the lead. I'm watching his fingers work. It was just like somebody flicking on a switch. That is amazing. That I would love to do. And I went home and I told my dad and my mum and dad. I was like, there's this guy at school, and he can do such amazing things, but with a guitar. I want to be, I want to learn that. I want to be able to do that.
Right.
And they sort of, they ummed and ahed. We didn't have a great deal of money growing up, and they sort of ummed and ahed and said, well, your birthday's coming up. If that's what you want to do, then maybe we'll go out and we'll try and find you a guitar or something, and see how you get along with it. So I got one of those. I didn't know what I was looking for at the time. I didn't know anything about musical instruments, but I got this crappy little Encore guitar. And, they were about as cheap could be. It was the Stratocaster. It was, like a Fender, very, 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 very cheap Fender style. The Stratocaster.
Kind of the Metro of the Chevy
exactly.
GM line.
If you pushed your thumb relatively hard on the woodwork, I mean, you'd make a good dent in it.
Yikes.
That's how crap it was. I always had this hum when you plugged it in. I mean, I had this. It was like a starter kit thing, so it came with a 10-watt amp that had sort of 3 settings on it and an overdrive button.
Yeah.
And it came with a VHS video of how to play open chords. And I sat there for hours trying to watch this video, thinking, I'm going to master these chords. I will do it. Sort of trying to press pause, and with the VHS, when you press pause, there was always that delay, and it would be like a second or two before it actually paused. So I'd miss the chord I needed, so I'd then have to rewind the tape and play it again, and then try and pause it in the right place, just so I could see what he was doing with his fingers. And eventually I gave up on the video, on the VHS, and just thought, how hard can it be? I mean, I didn't have the internet much back then,
Right.
Well, there wasn't really an internet then. I mean, the internet was available, but just not to us in the Forest of Dean, So pretty much I relied on a few friends teaching me a few little notes here and there, and a few chords. My uncle Dave, when he found out I had a guitar, he got this Gibson Les Paul. He couldn't play much, but he could play a few chords. And he came down, he could see I was struggling with the open chords and everything, so he taught me how to play the power chord. And then he taught me how to play the pentatonic scale. I thought, right, well, why do I need the open chords? I can play all the chords I need, as power chords, and I can do the pentatonic scale, so I can do some stuff. So I had a blast just putting the distortion on and whacking it up all the way, so it was just a fuzz. I mean, everything. One of the big songs that was around at the time was sort of "Plug In Baby" by Muse,
Right.
and that sort of beginning intro where everything was just really fuzzy, and that, as long as I could play something like that at the time, I was happy. I was never up to my mates standards, but I'd got off the ground with it, and I was really enjoying that. And I found out there was a guy who lived in a house, pretty much directly behind me, who was a drummer, and he was also into, he was into all the nu metal music, and there was very few people, like us, with that style of music sort of around. I mean, I was brought up on all the classic rock, all the 70s, 60s and 70s classic rock, and southern rock, and the fact he was into metal, it didn't, that sort of difference didn't matter, as long as we could play together and make noise, and as long as it sounded like it was relatively in time.
Right.
That's really how it progressed. Natural rhythm. Rhythm didn't come naturally to me. I had to learn it over the years, and it's all been down to sort of hard work, really. But I played every single day for 5 or 6 hours every single day. I mean, I drove my parents nuts. I drove the neighbors nuts. We had Christians who used to live next door that used to preach to the church about how there was the devil living next door to them, and just because of the style of music that we were playing at,
I just don't get, simple-minded people,
Oh, like I said, it was really small towns. I mean, everything was. It was like it was 20 years behind the rest of the world. I mean, we didn't even get the dial-up broadband until sort of early 2000.
Wow, really?
It's sort of Sky TV. Well, I guess you didn't have Sky TV out there, but a lot of the cable TV and everything like that, it didn't come to us, for years after it seemed to hit the rest of the UK. Everything was really behind, but everything was really small opinions.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We had some famous rock names around here. I mean, Mop the Hoople were from Ross on Wye, and some of those guys. I mean, they were 8 miles down the road, and they still lived. A couple of them still lived there. Robert Plant still, he was quite famous for being out around the Forest of Dean parts.
Mm-hmm.
And, he still lives around this area now. And yet people, although he was a big rock star and everything like that, people used to, see him in all the pubs, and they'd make a big deal of him. And as soon as he was gone, it was back to hating rock and roll. And it was, just about oppressing it all the time. And, no one was going to get anywhere. If you started to get big, or you started to make a name for yourself, it was almost like the town had to bring you back down. It was kind of like they
didn't want you to prosper, huh?
Is that sorry?
I said, was it like they just didn't want to let you prosper? They figured, well, he's climbing the rope a little higher, we'll kind of tug him down a few stairs.
I think to a big degree that's exactly what it was. I mean, a lot of people, they worked they worked all the warehouse jobs and some of the old mining jobs and stuff, and because they never really did anything with their lives, they were going to make you feel like you couldn't do anything with your life. And I think a lot of it came down to sort of jealousy and envy that you even had a chance, that you'd worked hard to do something, and there was a likelihood that you could succeed in it.
Yeah, they're afraid for you to make something. It's usually the people that don't make something that try to drag you down, and the ones that don't want you to be better than what they have to offer. Well, let's just snag and drag you down.
Well, that's it. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people used to look down on us because of the makeup and the long hair and stuff like that as well. It was the kind of place that if you wore makeup in, everybody thought you were a queer.
Sure,
because
right.
you had long hair, you were a girl. because you wore makeup, you were a queer. So, I mean, you'd get things thrown at you in the street. I mean, there was a fair few times where people used to throw stones and stuff like that.
Are you serious?
Purely because, I mean, these are people that I'd gone to sort of, primary school with and secondary school with and everything like that. These were my friends.
Or you thought they were your friends. Doesn't sound like much friends to me.
Well, no, I mean, everybody picked their paths and went their own ways, and a lot of them used to sit outside on park benches just smoking their days away with their weed and just like to small-mindedly pick on everybody else.
Yeah.
As they're not going to work for anything, and they're going to make you feel really small because you have worked for something.
Right. They want you to be on their level.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If it's like you hang around people who have low self-esteem and not a whole lot of goals or accomplishments, well, they're going to knock you down to make themselves feel better. That's kind of my psychological, view on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Acey. Oh, go ahead and finish.
No, I was just going to say, just because we were from that sort of small town, it didn't mean that we wanted to ever stay in that. And I think that pissed people off as well, is the fact that we could get out of there. We could go and make something of ourselves, whereas they would just be stuck there. We had hopes and dreams, and we had, the means to push forward and try and fulfill those.
Well, it takes a lot of hard work, and a lot of people aren't willing to put that hard work in. So therefore, people just can be so rotten and cruel and condescending. I just prefer to keep those kind of people and their things as far away from me as I can. And I know, the music industry is not one of the most pleasant industries to be in. It can, you can be on top of the world one day or 1 minute or whatever, and then nobody hears from you after that. It is an ugly industry in my eyes.
Oh no, we've had the same here. I mean, we've been screwed over by venue owners countless times about how much we were going to get paid for a show, and pretty much we've tried to hold down jobs over the years to keep funding what it is that we were doing, but the plan was always to try and make enough to live off it, really.
Right.
Even if it was just enough for just for something to eat and a roof over your head for the night, and we kept getting screwed over financially, and that stunted our growth a bit, but you prosper, you keep going with it. There's no point in giving up just because something's tough.
Yes.
I mean, but the music industry is a tough industry, but it depends how much you want it.
Right. I agree. All right, Acey, let's just take this break, and we are going to listen to your song, Hell to Pay. And
okay, cool.
Now, which album is Hell to Pay off of?
That's off the Give Me Some Hell, yeah.
Okay.
That's the title track for it.
Okay.
The latest single, the one that we're pushing at the moment. I mean, for October we were going to do a music video for that, but that's currently been pushed back because we're going to be out in the States, but I think we'll probably talk about that a bit later.
Yes, we will after the break. Yeah, I think that's important that all of the U.S. people who'd love to see you can get some insight on that. So let's just take a quick break, and I'm going to be playing Hell to Pay by Rebel Lust. And we will be right back here on Rockstars Uncensored with Laura Hargrove with Mr. Acey Lust.
We've got to stay quiet during the break.
Acey?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had to slip in and use the potty real quick.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling about the interview? Or, the second part is usually where we get a little bit more open, about variety of different things. So when we come back in just under a minute, we can kind of hit some more like crazy questions. And they're not going to be embarrassing or hard for you to answer.
Oh no, you fire away. You got something you want to ask? You fire away.
Yeah, I do. I wish you were coming closer to North Dakota. I'd love to see you guys in concert.
Well, depending on how these 3 dates go, the promoter that's taken us out to Philadelphia this time, she's on about putting together a full summer tour for next year.
Right. Cool.
So we could be in the States for up to and including 90 days next year.
Okay. We got 13 seconds left.
How do you feel it's going?
Hold on. And welcome back to URL Radio, Rockstars Uncensored with Laura Hargrove. And that was Rebel Lust, Hell to Pay. I still have the wonderful Acey Lust with us, so we will continue the show. And as my fans all know, the second half is probably one of the best. And Acey is not shy, so he's one of our favorites to listen to. So let's hear what he might have to say about a few questions. Are you ready, Acey?
Oh, I'm ready. You fire away.
Okay. Now, if you could sit down with any musician that has passed away, who would it be, and what questions or topics would you guys talk about?
Oh, well, that's a tough question. There's so many, but I don't know.
I mean, you can name more than one if you wish.
It would have to be Hendrix. I mean, that guy is solely responsible for so much of not just today's music, but so much music that's influenced today's music.
Yeah, I agree.
The guy was an absolute genius, and questions I'd ask him, I don't think I'd stop asking him questions. I think whatever time I had with him, I'd just cram in as many as possible.
Yeah.
Not just. I mean, yeah, I've seen the documentaries and stuff on his life, but it's a different thing hearing the words from his own mouth. But hearing a lot of his influences from his own mouth, and some of these people that you may never have heard of. Some of the small town people who didn't make it. As well as a lot of the people that he did play for over the years. You could sit down for hours with that guy, and you could sit down for weeks with the guy and still be mesmerized by almost every word he had to say.
Well, he was a very laid-back, kind of shy guy. I mean, he didn't think his, put it straight out there. He didn't think his shit stunk. And I don't have a whole lot of, like me, I've met thousands of famous people. I've never been starstruck. To me, they're just like I am. Hey, I can play an instrument. I can do this. I do this. But I don't think I'm above anybody else. And it just bothers me a bit when these artists or musicians totally snub their fans.
Oh, well,
it's like, well, if you didn't have the fans, you wouldn't be anywhere.
Being humble.
Right.
You're nothing. It's people make the stars. It's a star isn't just a star. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people out there with endless talent. Amazing musicians, and they'll never get truly recognized. But it's those people that are more important than the stars themselves. A lot of the time, it's people who make stars, And as soon as you lose your ability to be humble with people and you start to grow an ego, I mean, you've lost it then. I mean, you've truly come off the rails, and you've forgotten what it is that you were doing it for in the first place. I mean, for me, it's not about fortune and fame. You know, it's
Right.
about musical expression.
Yes.
You know, it's about making somebody else feel good. You know, it's about taking people's minds off the crap that they go through every single day. And whether it's 3 minutes, whether it's 6 minutes of a track, just giving them that release and that enjoyment of listening to it. And if you can make enough money to be able to continue doing that, then well, that's all you need. But I do this for my own happiness. You know, I do it for my happiness, and I do it in hope that other people share my joy in it. But as soon as somebody lets it all go to their head, well, then all I can say is, look what happened to Axl Rose.
Oh, I know. I mean, he's always been, you know, had a reputation, and he's just gotten worse and worse and worse.
Exactly.
You know, he'll sit and let his fans wait 3 hours because he doesn't want to get his happy ass out on stage. I was down at, I'm not sure how familiar you are with some of the events in America, but we have a humongous biker fest. And excuse me.
No, you carry on.
I can't breathe. Hold on. I swallowed wrong.
You're right.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Don't die on me now. Don't die on me.
No. Well, that would.
My first time on U.S. radio. So,
yeah,
well,
it is.
Radio,
this
I
is
know
a.
you broadcast out further than that. So
Yeah.
please don't die.
So this is your first interview from the United States.
It is, yes, yeah.
And you guys are going to be making your way to Philadelphia? Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Philadelphia.
At the end of next month.
So you're going to spend...
The 31st of October, we're going to be in Philadelphia.
Do you know which venue?
Yeah, we're going to be playing at the Voltage Lounge in Philadelphia on the 30th. And on the 31st, I believe we're at the Girard Hall. If anybody's familiar with those venues out there, then we'd love to see you there.
So how come did you pick Pennsylvania for a 3-day event?
Well, we didn't pick it. I mean, pretty much what happened when we got back together in May and we found a new drummer, John. He was an absolute star. On the second rehearsal we did with him, we wanted to put out a bit of a taster, for old new fans, anybody looking at the site, especially the Facebook. I mean, the Facebook is mostly what we deal with these days, and that seems to be something that everybody's on.
Right.
We decided we wanted to put out a bit of a taster, so we got a video camera together in our rehearsal room, and we were always really well known. I mean, for years, since 2009, we've been doing the song by Steve Earle called Copperhead Road.
Beautiful song.
It was commented on in every single review we've ever had. It was always a song that went down a storm. Obviously, we did it in our own style. And for anybody who wants to check that out, you'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on our Facebook. But the rehearsal video I'm talking about, you'll only find that on the Facebook. But pretty much, what happened is a promoter from the US had seen this video, and she'd seen that, liked what she saw, and went on and started looking at some of our other videos. And ever since made the introductions and said, well, what's it going to take to get you guys out to the US? We had no plans, especially for this year, next year. We had no plans to be coming out to the US. It's far too expensive for us to do that. I mean, we were thinking sort of early next year we'll hit the UK and get out and start touring the UK again, and then later on in the year take the trip across to Europe, start touring Europe, and that would pretty much be it for 2017. You know, just 2016. Sorry, is just constant UK and European tours. But she kept saying, well, what's it going to take to get you guys out there? And in the end, pretty much they said, well, you buy the flights, and and we'll play wherever you get us for. And she wanted us to come out for the whole of for the end of October and for the whole of November, and she was going to fill up a load of dates there. But our guitarist AJ, due to criminal records, is unable to get the visa to stay for any longer than 5 days. So
really, well, that stinks.
We had to cut that back. Obviously, for next year, it's not going to be a problem, but for this year, there were a lot of problems. But obviously, it wasn't something that we were expecting to be doing. I mean, the US stuff was booked for us before we'd even done our comeback show in the UK. Luckily, we've had years of experience behind us, and our new drummer John, he's had years of experience of playing and touring behind him as well. So it wasn't a problem jumping back in at the deep end again and pretty much going straight out to the States. So we decided if the flights are being paid for, then
why not,
no reason
right?
to say no. It's always been a dream for us to go to the States, but financially it never seemed like it was going to be something we'd be able to do.
Right.
And until now, I mean, we possibly looked at 2017. We were having a lot of offers come through, especially from Texas. Within a week of posting our Copperhead Road video up, we had about 30 offers from Texas to be able to go over there. But the offers, they just weren't. You got to hold out for the right one, otherwise it ends up coming and stinging you in the ass. If we could have stayed longer, we didn't realize the criminal record was going to come into play as much as it has.
Oh, sure.
If the right offer was made for somebody to have flown us out there and helped us with the renting of all the gear and stuff like that, then I think we'd have been in the U.S. a lot longer, and especially around the Texas region and a lot of the South. I mean, Georgia, we had quite a few interesting offers for Georgia as well, but they weren't the cherry on the icing, as it were. Whereas this promoter from Philadelphia, she got us right. She made us the right offer, and we took it. Yes,
well, it's too bad I won't be able to see you guys play. Well, hopefully we can get enough new fans out there to rock the ceiling to the floor.
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Oh, I says, well, hopefully we can get enough fans out there to rock the ceiling to the floor.
Oh yeah, of course. With any luck, I mean, we're trying to push it as much as we can from our end, but at the end of the day, out in the US, I understand that it's quite a hard market to break. You've got just as many unsigned bands out there as we have over here, and everybody's playing on one night or another. So,
well, it depends on your promoters, where you're at in the States, and kind of all that. It all kind of differs. It really does. Just kind of depends. Okay, I got a little outrageous question for you. Have you ever had sex listening to your own music?
Yes, I have. Not because I put it on, purely because it was already on.
Yeah, right. Go on, Acey. You can.
I was never arrogant enough to say, "Hang on a minute, I just got to go and put this song on."
Hey, stop that! I need to put a song on. That's awesome.
Well, there was a few times. I don't know whether this counts, but I mean, there was a few times when the guitarist AJ would actually be playing our songs, on his own, on an acoustic guitar in the front room,
Yeah.
whilst I'd be having sex. So I don't know if that counts, but that would also be our own music, right?
Yes. So what would be your favorite sex position?
Ooh. I don't know. I guess I like to be ridden.
You are the only third person in 3.5 years that has given me a different answer.
Cowgirl or reverse.
Most people say doggy style.
Not that I'm lazy or anything like that.
Yeah, right. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
A woman would do the work, right?
Oh, that's cute. Now, have you guys along the years had some really obscene fans and or groupies? And can you share some of those stories?
Well, as much as I'd like to share some of those stories, I think most of those outrageous and crazy groupies would probably be quite a long list of AJ's ex-partners.
Oh, God.
He seems to meet those along the road and keep them on for a bit. But I don't know. A lot of the crazy weird stuff. Well, that used to happen to AJ. He was propositioned by a black man in the toilet once whilst applying his makeup. The black man had asked him if he could shag him up the ass.
Yikes.
He copped off with a girl that resembled quite strongly a man. He's had some rather. No, I know that I'm saying this to an American here, so your definition of rather large and my definition of rather large might be somewhat different, but there were some rather large girls that used to follow AJ around. But, to say they were rather large would be somewhat of
an understatement.
An understatement, but yes. You'd quite often find their underwear hanging as tents in the back of the van.
Oy. Good God. Could have like a whole windshield cover to a tour bus.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, he's probably going nuts listening to this right now, but I'm sorry,
he's like,
AJ.
He's probably texting you, God damn it, Acey. Just had to put that out there on an international radio show. It's okay, AJ. It'll be put into a podcast for the whole world to always be able to push play to listen to it.
But yeah, as for the crazy stalker ones, a lot of the time, if we ever encountered any problems with anybody along the road like that, we'd pass them on to AJ and let's just say AJ.
Poor guy. Oh God.
Not that he ever minded. He took the abuse afterwards. But
he took one for the team? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, that is so funny.
What else you got for me?
Oh, let me see what.
You still there?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, I kind of backed up from the microphone.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah, you faded that bit there.
So, what do you do like in your spare time besides music?
Well, obviously I've got kids now. I'm very much a family man these days. So I get up every morning about sort of 6:30 and get the kids ready for school. They go to school probably about 12, 15 miles away, so I drive them there and come back. My daughter's, she'll be 2 next month, so I've got her most of the day. My wife is a model, so she's here most of the time, but travels off, up and around the country.
Sure.
Doing shoots for this, that, and the other. She was doing one the other day with Harley Davidson. I'm pretty sure she's got a pretty busy weekend ahead, so it looks like I got the kids for this weekend. But apart from that, I watch a few of the TV series now and then when I got time. But I sit and I write music, I play music, I restring guitars. Every so often I'll do a guitar up or something like that. But yeah, I sit on the internet now and again and try and push the band on there and try and make new contacts for different promoters and seeing what's out there and what festivals are on and what's going on for next year and what sort of bookings I can get for next year.
Well, I do work with a variety of promoters all over the United States. Maybe one of these days we can, you can give me a call or I can give you a call, and we can see, being you're going to be in the States, if we can't get you some more gigs.
Oh, well, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely
amazing. I would love to help you with that. If we spend
any more time in the States, then it'd be nice to actually come in and do an interview face-to-face, wouldn't it?
Yes, that would be fun. You could even bring the other guys if they're gutsy enough to show up.
Oh, they will be.
I would pretty much sure. I'm just throwing some shit out there. I'm sure AJ's really impressed already.
Oh, I'm sure he's cooking up a ton of stories right now that he thinks if I ever get my chance, I'm going to get my own back on him.
Yeah, steam's coming out of his ears. All sorts of pretty language.
That's it. Yeah. Just give him a microphone, and he'll give you all the dirt. Yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe even next time, you guys can do an interview together.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we should do that. I know it's like 1 something in the morning where you're at, so I don't want to keep you on the phone too long. Like I said, you're always welcome to be a guest on my show. I can do whatever. I'll try to do whatever I can to get you more gigs around the United States while you're here. So we'll have to keep in touch that way. But I think we're going to close the show here in the next few minutes. I would like the audience to be able to have information, how to contact your band, how to contact and buy your albums, how to listen to anything, what we had played tonight, or anything that they haven't heard yet.
Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, everything, pretty much the Facebook at the moment is the most active way that we use to contact us. So anybody can find us. Obviously, www.facebook.com/Rebel Lust as one word, and you'll find us on there. Reverb Nation, we're on again. Reverb Nation /Rebel Lust. You'll find us on there. If you want to email the band directly or me directly, then just rebellust@hotmail.co.uk. All of our stuff is available to buy sort of online. You can either message us through the Facebook, and we'll post out anything worldwide, all the prices and everything that are on there. So you'll find us, you'll find us on there. Anybody who wants to watch any of our prior videos from anywhere up from 2010 up to 2012. I think the latest one from 2015 should be going up any day now. But you can find us on YouTube as well. If you just type in Rebel Lust, you'll find us on there.
Wonderful. I am so happy that we got this worked out. It was a pleasure having you on my show. You're welcome on my show anytime. And this song we're going to be playing and ending the show with is Would You Like to Dance? And that is off your newest CD.
Yeah, that's off the Give Me Some Hell Yeah as well. All three tonight are from the Give Me Some Hell Yeah. That's the one we're really pushing until we can get the new stuff out and about. But for now, Give Me Some Hell Yeah.
Yeah, keep me updated on new tracks, and we'll get them put into the system and continue to play worldwide.
Much appreciated, much appreciated.
Yes, like again, I said, sorry about our first little incident of booking, but I'm glad that we were both be able to come together tonight and promote your fabulous band and your great music. It was a joy to talk to you, And I know it's getting kind of late over there in England, so we are going to end the show with Acey Lust from Rebel Lust with a song right off of their new CD. Thank you so much, Acey.
No, thank you for having me.
You're
Cheers, guys.
welcome.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, and I'll let you know when I'll send you the links to the podcast when the video's all redone. Okay?
Yeah, that would be amazing. We can push that ourselves then as well. So
Yes.
anybody who didn't, well, I know that a lot of UK listeners haven't tuned in tonight. But, yeah, that would be great if we can push that.
Yes, I will send you the links, and you can also, when they are put out, you can find those on the Rockstars Uncensored with Laura Hargrove page as well. So you can just share the podcast that way. Does that sound good?
That sounds excellent.
All right. You have a great night, Acey. Thank you again so much. Look
Thank
forward
you
to
for having
having
me, and good luck with the rest of your show, and hopefully I'll speak to you again soon. Yeah?
Yes, you will. Thank you again. And here,
Good night, guys.
good night, Acey. And here is off their latest album, Do You Want to Dance? Rebel Lost. Say happy, sweet dreams, and good night to Mr. Acey Lust. Okay. Are you still with me, or did you hang up?
Oh, no, I'm still here. I thought I'd say goodbye to you personally as well.
Yeah, well, thank you. Yeah, that was, well, it was more interesting for me to hear about your music than it was to get into some really crazy stuff. So we'll kind of save that for the next interview, getting out of control. And I kind of have the whole sympathy of, it's relate with you. And if there's ever a time where, live doesn't work, where you need to get up or whatever, we can pre-record the interview.
Most of the time, I'm pretty much available. If I know something's coming up, then I can move some stuff around. I'll do what I can. So.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I prefer to do it live. It just seems more genuine. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I thank you so much, and thank you so much for understanding while I wasn't feeling well.
No. That's you can't help being ill, darling. You can't help being ill.
No. I wish you could, but you can't.
Yeah, it'd be great to do it again. So
yes, we will definitely. If you want to send any type of promotional stuff, like what you would ask, blah blah blah. Your whatever you need to perform. If you want to just kind of shoot me a general list, I can see what I can do about booking you while you're here at the end of the month.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I shall email you then.
Yeah, my friend is bringing in Buck Cherry. Are you familiar with the band Buck Cherry?
No, I'm very familiar with Buck Cherry, yeah.
Well, they're
more modern influences, actually.
Yeah, and they'll be here November 10th, and they're looking for an opening act.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
Oh, excellent. I should tune in for that, because we'll be back home in England on the 3rd, so unfortunately we won't be there for that. But
well, hopefully we can get you some other gigs around the same area where you can stay in the States. Well, I suppose your drummer can only be in for 5 days, right?
No, it's the guitarist.
Or the guitarist.
The problems with the visa with, unfortunately. But, as we speak, we are training a replacement guitarist to be able to, if there are any more dates in the US that he is unable to do, then there will be a stand-in guitarist. It's not going to be the same without him, but
right.
We can't miss the opportunity of coming out to the States to start breaking a name out here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's keep in touch. I'll see, like I said, just send me a little bit of a promo. And let me see what I can do to keep you, get you guys here and get you on the road.
That'll be excellent.
All right. Thank you so much, Rob,
Thank you so
a.k.a.
much,
Acey. I totally appreciate it. So,
no, there's no worries. Anytime.
all right, dear. Thank you so much. I love your music. Look forward to keeping in touch with you. And thank you again, dear.
Okay, so
All right. All right. You have a great night.
All right.
Cheers.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.